Welcome to my prototyping video for the sous chef assignment. My name is Mika and I want to show you the code sample, the workflow, and also how it runs. So first of all, on the right I have an example recipe for white chicken chili enchilada casserole, and under here we also have the recipes that I've found online. So as usual, you will see this friendly image of some kind of banner of a chef and what will it be, and so welcome. So first of all, some short information for the user so they know what will happen. So then when we press that button, you can choose how many people. So you can go from minimal spelling mistake, my minimal 1 to a maximum 5. So let's say 5 people. Any allergies I should know about, so you can skip this, but for the example I want to exclude gluten, so the large language model knows this should not be in the recipe. Then we give the name, of maybe better to copy paste. So we have this, and under here you can add your own ingredients, but you can also skip it and let the large language model think for itself. But I found this, and maybe instead of cooking spray I want to use something like, I would like to use oil for the cooking. So for example, then the large language model knows that. Then we go to let's cook, and then we can see that we have to wait, and you can also see this here from Streamlit, so it's working. And then we get this JSON file, so the name of the dish and the ingredients, also a duration time, like how long will it take to make. I would say that it's also kind of a weird estimation because 30 minutes or 1 hour, I think it really depends on how proficient you are with cooking and what type of materials you use. But anyways, the large language model thinks it's 30 minutes. And special notes: use olive oil for cooking. This recipe is gluten free. So the things that I think are very important. Now, after you are done, you can just press here to copy paste, but you can also press this button to download it, and you will get this JSON file with your ingredients and what the things you want. So this can be also very nice. So maybe you want to make another dish, so you can press this button and it will take you back to the state or step 1. So the way this works is I use something called LM Studio, which you can easily run your own local LLMs. So in my case, I use Tiger Gemma and run a local server. And what's nice about this, instead of, for example, an online API, is you can customize a lot of things, like how many tokens you want. You can also choose to GPU upload. You have also some advanced options, and you can also add some other things, like for example system prompts. So sometimes for example, if you want to deploy something easy, or you just want an AI to run always like something, you can for example say, all right, like here, like, oh, it only needs to rhyme, so that will make sure that the outputs are more in rhymes, and instead of you having to do it in your code. Anyways, I want to go quickly over the code. So for README, so this is still empty, but here I want to put all the examples. So for example, you can have non-allergies, 2 people, strawberry smoothie, and just say, instead of giving you a whole recipe, you can just say, all right, I would just want extra whipped cream or something. And it will take that into account and will think for some recipes to sell what's in the large language model. It's also important to know that depending on what type of model you use and how much power you give, the outputs can be very different. For example, Gemini, that's run is from Google, has major data centers and has a lot of more information, training sizes, and also more power compared to my personal laptop. So it can also vary in that. But for some simple task like this for a personal AI agent, it is pretty nice and simple to test, and it doesn't really cost a lot of effort for it. So it's just deploy it, choose a model you like. So in my case is this one, and then anyways, going to the code. I also got for Streamlit a config toml. So here we see the theme. So I want to have this color, and you can also add some kind of font, so sans serif. That's the basic one, but you can also look for different ones if you would like. So then for the code. So because I run it locally and I use LM Studio, so it's also, by the way, in a virtual environment. So that's nice if you do not want to change a lot of things outside of it. So all of it will be in this virtual environment part. So if I want to run it, so I go into the terminal and I say Python streamlit run app.py. Then we have some libraries or dependencies, like example Streamlit. I also use Pydantic for more structuring in the output. Like for example, I showed the JSON file. So when you want to add something, you would preferably, or at least I want to have some structure in my output, not something completely random. So another page points customization configuration. For example, I made my own banner like here. I think that's just really nice, needful, and you can also add videos or something. That makes also Streamlit very nice and needful. So you can deploy you can just deploy simple apps and IDs to prototype. So anyways, here we have the LLM setup. So chat OpenAI. So this is for LM Studio. So here is the model name. For example, you can also load more models. So except I have also Minstrel 3b, so you can also load that one. So you can have, for example, a computer or run multiple models. So in my case, I only run Tiger Gemma. So here is that. Then the base URL. So I run it locally for my personal computer, and there's also API key. So I just have LM Studio. So it's optional, but for example, if you want to run it somehow for multiple computers at a local server, you can also add something like how many active API keys. You can also add that. So in my case, I don't really care for that, but it is very needful if you want to work with multiple developers or teams or anyways. So then we have temperature. So that is more the randomness output. So here I wanted to have more structure and a repetitiveness. So I put it a bit more low, but you can also vary it and put it way higher. It's also an option, I think, if I'm correctly in. I think it was also somewhere in LM Studio itself. So some things you can also just put in here, like for example, here's the temperature, but you can also just put it in your own code manually. So then we go to the Pydantic. In this case, we can see the recipe output. So I want name, dish, ingredients, duration, and special notes. All of them are strings, and with the exception of ingredients, or it is also a string, but we also want to put it into a list. You can also see that in the output, what is shown in the beginning of the video. You can see the ingredients will be put into some kind of list. Then we go again for the state machine, or everything that we do is in steps. So here we handle that. So we start with step 1, but you can also, for example, put it on step 4. But in the case of for me, I would just want to start at step 1 and just go through the whole process to make some nice recipe. So first of all is the welcome. So the user will know like, all right, what is this app for? Why would I want to use it? So in this case, the app wants to help you with a more personalized recipe. So you can have no ID or you can have a lot of IDs and can give suggestions. So step 2 is amount of people. For example, you can have a minimum value of 1. For example, you just want to cook for one person, or you want to cook at a maximum of 500. I've just put it at 500 because I'm scared that if you put it give it a way higher number, it will get more issues. Like again, it's just a small local LLMs, not a highly advanced one. Anyways, Then we go to step 3, this allergies. So you can put allergies here, but you can also skip it. So it does not get taken into account. In step 4 here, you can add the name of your dish. So I want to give an example like just tomato soup, but you can put anything here. Then optional, you can add your own ingredients, but you can also skip that one, and you can also maybe add some suggestions. For example, maybe you have just the name, all right, tomato soup, and maybe you say, I do not have the direct ingredients. You can do something with that, but I do really want to have maybe some fish in there. Like example, if you really like fish, you can just put it here. Then you have the button let's cook. Then you have this waiting time, and here it will handle the previous state. So for example, here you can see the people. All right, so in the prompt that is automated, you put the amount of people, it will look at that, it will look at allergies, and it will look at the dish name and the recipe info. And we also give some additional instructions here. Create recipe that must use this information, allergies and number of people, but also the name and the recipe info. Call and then call LMM. So here we are calling to the LLM like, hey, we have instructions, you need to do this, for example. And then we have a nice spinner. So what I showed in the beginning of the video, when you have an output, it's nice to have something to show that like the LLM is running. So you have some kind of spinner that is loading, that is working. Instead else it would maybe look like it's not doing anything, but then you see it runs. And then here you get your results. So your recipe, and then the dish given name. Then we have the structured output, and you can also see here that you can just download it, and or you can just copy paste it. But in this case, you might want to just download it as a JSON file. And at the end, of course, you want to go to next step one. For example, maybe you have one dish, but maybe you also want, for example, make your own smoothies for your previous Mexican dish. So you can also do that, and then you have multiple recipes. So that is basically it, and hope you enjoyed it, and you can maybe make something cool yourself as well.